Sorry, we're closed.
All right, guys, welcome back. Another episode. Sorry, we're closed here. And we're going to roll right into what I told you guys we'd start off with this week, which is your net worth is your network. And I believe it to be true. Sean believes it to be true. However, oftentimes people don't know exactly how to make it happen. And oftentimes think, as I mentioned on last week's podcast, oh, like maybe not my dad, my friend's dad's the CEO, so he'll make me money. It's really not how things work. It has worked that way, but it's really not how things work. And I think people often get caught up in that. So I have a TikTok I want you guys to listen to, which I'll play for you now. I just told Sean we keep getting copyright claims on YouTube for using this stuff. Now they post it publicly, so I'm still not 100% sure, and I have no copyright strikes against my YouTube account, which tells me I think that they're still out there and able to be visible and stuff like that. But I'm trying to get bigger on YouTube, and I'm just still trying to test out exactly to see if there is any negative effects to that. So I'm just gonna put up to the microphone for now. But this guy, a little background, he was the creator of Get Schmacked, which is a little bit before my time, but I think Sean's time, right?
Yeah. Jesus.
So he's the creator of Get Schmacked. He actually got hounded by the feds because they thought he was running some scheme, and he wasn't. So at least not that I know of. I did brief research, so he maybe he got left the hook or something. I don't know. But I've watched. He's been recently on TikTok and posting a ton. And he doesn't look like the most upstanding individual, I'll give you that. But the way he speaks, he's pretty intelligent about what he does. So anyway, I saw this one about networking, and I want you guys to listen to it. So here you go.
This is super important to talk about. Networking is very important if you have a value add. If you have a value add. If you don't have a value add, you're just meeting people that are going to just be like, this guy is useless. There's no utility. There's no value here. Why are we meeting him? Don't meet people and blow your bubble before you have value to provide.
And so what he talks about there briefly is being able to provide value to someone you're meeting. Now, recently, I had 2 meetings pop up that I probably could have acquired those meetings. One was with a company called Wheels Up, which is a private jet company. The second one was with a hospitality group called Tao Group. And I could have had a meeting with a nice guy who's one of the higher ups there. Now, the reason why, on both ends, in my opinion, but the reason why those meetings did not happen, and one of the reasons I did not push very hard for those meetings to happen, was because I didn't know what the hell I could do for these people. And you go into these meetings, and if there's nothing you can give this person, like if there's no reason for them to be there except for just to be like, oh, let me help this guy, that's just charity. Like, why is he doing that for you? Like, why is it just because he's nice, because a friend asked him to help a guy out? Like, why is he doing that? So I never pushed for these meetings. I don't know that they'd ever even happened because they're on the other end. If I was them, I'd be like, well, why the hell am I meeting this guy? Minus because my buddy, our mutual friend, had asked us to sit down with him. And I will also give you, I just made a TikTok about this. Oftentimes, and Sean knows this, oftentimes things can come from nothing. Like, you can just sit with someone and be like, oh, shit, you do what? Okay. Oh, wow. Okay, well, I do this. I think maybe we might be able to help each other here. And you don't realize it. So sometimes the meet and greet can still happen and be fruitful. But I particularly like those types of meet and greets that kind of happen organically, where you just happen to see, you run into each other, or you run into some people and you start chatting at the bar, and then you start talking about, oh, let's actually go sit down and talk about this. Not hey, our friend made the connection, let's go sit at a dinner table for 2.5 hours and see if there's anything we can do for each other. I'd rather already have some type of idea of, well, I know at least I can help you here. And I think this is where a lot of people get hung up with networking. And it's just like, oh, no, if you're friends with people, now you're rich. If you're friends with rich people, you're rich. It's not necessarily true. Gary Vee actually talks about it all the time, where he has got plenty of friends from back home and stuff like that who aren't 100 millionaires or even millionaires for that matter. And
Losers.
yeah, but they still know Gary. Gary, I'm sure, especially seemed like what his personality is online, probably would help them if he could. But he also is like, you got to be able to do something for me. So I don't know what your take is on it, Sean, but with networking, I think people make it too simplistic and think if you just know someone, now you're rich.
Well, I think networking is interesting, and it really depends on, like, obviously in our world of entrepreneurship, Tony Robbins says Tony Robbins says if you don't talk to your neighbor, you're dead. And actually, let's do this. Let's have some fun. Let me play you a TikTok.
Okay.
Now, this guy, in a similar fashion, when I say the word douche in my world, who would you think of?
In your world, Grant Cardone?
Bingo bango. There was only one other possible guy that it could possibly be. Do you know who it is? You and I talked about this person like
the epitome
3 days
of
ago.
douche.
This guy is the epitome. Of douche.
Yeah. What's his? I don't remember. Something Swaggy or something. What was this guy's name?
Jason Capital.
Yeah, Jason Capital.
All right, you ready for this?
Yeah.
Free business. I have 5 companies now. We'll do $100 million this year. I started every one of those companies with no money. Zero money, man. Just hustle and grit and courage. I've called on people I didn't want to be with. I've done things I didn't want to do, okay? It is not about doing what you love. It's about doing whatever it takes to make your dreams a reality, to be closed and stay closed. If you're not closed on your product, if you're not buying your own product, why would you expect anybody else to? Man, $400 is a lot of money. Your prospect says to you, $400. Do it. Listen to me, man. You're 32 years old. You've been trying to save money for 20 years, and you hadn't. Do it and do it now. I don't need anything special here. I'm not going to be empathetic. Quit being stupid. Write the check. I don't know if the compliance guy likes that or not.
Well, that wasn't the one.
Did not go far enough?
Well, no,
explain
it did. Well, basically, what he says, I was hoping he'd get to that at the end of that. Well, that was fun for everyone, I guess. But he says at one point in one of these videos, I thought I had it. He says that white space on your calendar is the devil. It's like if you got nothing going on, you ain't talking to anybody. He's like, you will meet the devil. White space on your calendar is the devil. And look, not everybody's going to have the same ambition. Not everybody needs to network. You know, depending on your level of ambition is your need there. What I would say, kind of adding to what you said, was I don't really think that networking, the reason that people don't do it is because it just goes outside of your comfort zone. Like, it's like, okay, duh, if I knew Elon Musk, I'd probably find myself in a lot more opportunities. If I knew Jeff Bezos, I'd find myself in a lot of opportunities. And then you just kind of like look around, you're like I don't know who's this guy, like, you know, like it doesn't really lead you to anything, and you don't see that immediate gratification, and it's just you constantly have to put yourself. I was telling somebody the other day about your networking process, and we can remember it must have been Brian. I don't remember talking to anybody else, but like we were talking about how, like, you know, you were with like these group of people, and like these people weren't great, like you kind of see it right away. But they were like, they took you to the next one, to the next one, to the next one, until you landed into a crew that was really helpful and beneficial and could be mutually beneficial. So I think that networking, I think everybody knows that it's the thing and it's super, super helpful. But I think the reason that they don't do it is either they don't need to, but mostly because it makes you uncomfortable to do that, which is the reason that most people don't do any of the things that make you successful.
Yeah. I mean, let's just take you real quick. And Sean knows this, but let's just take this quickly through like a raise for a business. And I heard Grant Cardone talk about it a little bit in that, about how he started all these businesses for $100 million. They started with no money, all that stuff. Now, let's say business A, I'm not going to do a business B, but business A called called Guitar Taxi is worth $100 million. So Guitar Taxi did this new innovative thing where they, they have a live guitarist in the front seat for your taxi ride, and people are in love with it, right?
That's expensive. You got to pay for the car, the fuel, the driver, and the guitar.
Listen, people are loving it. So Guitar Taxi, you're purchasing Guitar Taxi at a $100 million valuation. Now, let's say in these scenarios, you're financing the deal. So let's say you have to come up with 20%. You gotta put up $20 million. So now you have to go find $20 million. Let's say you have $1 million. Let's say, for example, you have zero. You don't want to put up any money. You went through the rigmarole of getting this deal. You knew the right people. You worked your ass off for a year and change to get the right valuation. Put all these pieces together to finally have the deal. You want to put up no fucking money. So you got to come up with $20 million. Now, let's say in your network you have access to, $40 million. There's money out there for you to get, and you can go get it. Now, you want to retain 50% of the company, which means that for no money, you want to retain 50%, which means that now that $20 million you're putting up, people are now buying in at $100 or $200 million valuation rather than $100 million valuation, because now they got to put up, instead of whatever it was per point, for whatever 20 divided by 100, 20 million divided by 100 is what, $200,000. So you got to put up, so everyone's got to put up $200,000 a point originally. Now there's only 50 points available. They got to put up $400,000 per point in order to get to that same number. So with that being said, now you go into your network of people to do. And this is when, let's say Jeff Bezos is doing this. Jeff Bezos, let's say he knows that he has all this money available to him. He doesn't want to run the company, though. He doesn't know how to run this company. So now he's going to go into person A, B, and C, who are great operators, but they come in and say, listen, we're great fucking operators. We're going to make this thing go. We don't want to pay fucking $400,000 a point. We'll come in at the original valuation, and we want to take 20%. So, they have a ton of value outside of financing. So, all right, we'll sell it to you. We'll say 20% for however much money. You go to but now the valuation just went up for everybody else again because you need the operators. But the operators, although they knew Jeff Bezos, the only reason they're in is because they're fantastic operators, not because they knew him, but because they're fantastic operators. Now other people, they might not fucking know dick about this. They're never going to be involved. So now and they come in and they say, listen, you got to pay $800,000 a point. And people are like, well, fuck. I don't want it. That's an outrageous valuation. As well, you're about to be in a deal that you'd never be in, and with three phenomenal operators that you would never have the opportunity to work with, but your valuation went higher because of that. Now, you might think that people at $800,000 are getting fucked, but in reality, the value that those people can bring, the only value those people can bring to the table is money. That's the only thing they can do. If they say, well, we want to pay a fair valuation, okay, you're no longer valuable to me. You don't provide value to me any longer because I can go get a lot of people to pay the fair number. I need you to pay more because I need these operators. And if you can't pay more, your value is zero. You're out of the deal. You're goodbye. See you later. I'll find someone else to pay the higher value because they know the value that I'm providing to them in a company they would never be able to get and with operators they'd never have access to. Those operators, obviously, they get a better deal because they are going to run the show, and then I get the best deal because no one gets any of these things without me. So people look at things and they just look at the money aspect of it. And I've had this happen in my own life. But they look at just the money aspect of things and listen, well, I know, you're my friend. I was like, okay, no, that's great. My friend duty to you is that you're getting the first look at this. My friend duty is not to give you, half the valuation of the company. That's not my friend duty to you. You got the first look. Your value is to bring money. You got to put up the money. I don't know what else to tell you. Now, if we negotiate a better contract, an agreement with you, all that stuff, yeah. But at the end of the day, in certain situations, I know, especially in small businesses, I know you have no leverage against me. I have all the leverage. In a big business, now you talk about bringing in private equity. Now they're going to negotiate a better deal for themselves. They're going to make sure they get paid back first. They're going to get, let's say, 70 of the profits until they get paid back. Then it goes back to even, so on and so forth, because they're putting up all this money. So it works a little bit different. It gets a little bit nuanced as you get bigger. But the moral of that story is in networking, you have to realize what you bring to the table. And from there, that is how you can leverage yourself. Now, if you don't have much leverage other than, let's say, one particular thing, if you're the only person being able to put up that much money, and there wasn't a list of people below you, or let's say it's private equity. If you're the only private equity firm that's willing to put up that much money, and there's not 6 more, you have a ton of leverage. You can go get higher profits until you get paid back, et cetera, et cetera. But if there's a list more, or there's 5 other private equity firms, I'm just throwing it to other people. Who's going to give me the best deal? And you lose your leverage. So you just when you're networking when you're doing all these things, you have to realize what your value is, what you bring to the table, and you can't be unrealistic with what you think you're owed because you knew a guy. Yeah, that's not how this works. Like when I first bought into my first restaurant, I bought in, to my knowledge, at either the second highest or the highest valuation in that restaurant. It was not worth what I paid. And I can promise you that. But I didn't. The only thing I could bring to the table was finance. The only thing I could do was bring money. The second deal, I paid an even amount because that was the best I could do. And then from so on and so forth, now I'm bringing a ton of value. I'm buying all these places. I'm bringing in great operators, so on and so forth. I get a better deal. I'm not going to give you the exact deal, but I give you guys I get better deals because of this. But it took me to work up to that. And I think oftentimes people believe that because they knew a guy, they just, oh, no, come on. You're my buddy. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit if you're my buddy.
Well, everybody wants the freebie, right?
Yeah, you get the best deal because you provide the most value. You're my buddy was you got the phone call. That's being my buddy. Not everyone else got the fucking phone call. So, like I said, in this networking game, like it's not just about knowing people. We talk about Opie a lot, at Budweiser, or he's not Budweiser anymore. Viva, no free ads. No, it's called Schmiva, no free ads. But when you talk about Opie, when he goes into these liquor stores, if he just asks the people to buy his product, I'm like, well, no. Why am I taking up fridge space? You have a tequila seltzer that's brand new. It's going to take up fridge space when I can go buy High Noon that I know is going to sell this week. And I got to pay my fucking bills. But now Opie goes in and says, hey, listen, I'll give you 2 free cases. I'll come in, do a tasting, and I'll swipe the corporate credit card to make sure it gets off your shelf. All right, well, now we're talking. Now I have a zero risk business that you're going to bring this in, but you're going to buy all the remainders if I don't win. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
I have nothing to lose now. Not only do I have nothing to lose, I have everything to gain because I'm pricing that thing at a profit that I can guarantee I'm getting back.
Mm-hmm.
So now he's providing value. It's just the name of the game. When people come into me liquor reps come into me and say, not including friends, but when they come into me and say, hey, listen, we'll do this, and we'd love to be able to promote a cocktail that we have in our thing on your menu. Oh, that doesn't fucking do anything for me. Oh, why? Okay. So now you're asking me is to take your product in that I don't already have, and then I have to put a new cocktail on my menu that you get, and then you're going to promote it on your page that is a brand new company that has 300 followers on Instagram? The fuck's that doing for me?
That's always you get those people at just like spam DM you, and they're like, you want to be an ambassador for my new product? And I'm like, guys.
No, I don't want to be an ambassador. And but let's dive into that real quick. That's a great topic. I have 33.7 thousand followers on Instagram. You asking me to take a picture with your sweatshirt on it, with your sweatshirt on my fucking body, is going to do all of fucking nothing for you. Okay? No one cares what I'm wearing. I can promise you. No one gives a shit. And when I put a nice suit on or something like that, and I tag my tailor, you might have some people that want to go look at the tailor's page and see what other kind of cool stuff he has. You might have that. But a generic sweatshirt with your name on it, no one cares. No one
everybody
fucking
wants
cares.
the freebie. Everybody wants the freebie. They want you to say yes. You put the sweatshirt on, and then all of a sudden, I do think that there's a learning curve to all of this, and this is something that I think very, very much so about business. Really, any type of achievement is that the process is very simple. Nobody wants to do it, which is human nature. Everybody, human nature is to try to take the easy road, and then life just continually, as I say, kicks you in the teeth repeatedly and repeatedly until you decide to do the work or just quit altogether. And I think all of us can relate to that stuff. I remember like when you and I first were, starting, we did stuff that never was going to work. Well, we tried because we wanted it to be easy. You look at this, in our world, especially, like I know you and I have talked about this, like when somebody doesn't make the big leagues and they get cut, their career ends. 99 out of 100 times, they're doing lessons, right? They're in somebody's garage or going to the park, and they're doing lessons, and they have the same thought, right? Like, who wouldn't want lessons from me, right? Like, I was in AAA, right? Like, I didn't know any AAA kid. Man, I would have died for these lessons, and you soon realize that nobody really cares. And I see a lot of people in my world who were strength and conditioning coaches for Major League Baseball teams, who were NBA strength and conditioning coaches and athletic trainers, and they come out and they're like, I'm going to do this. Who wouldn't want this from me? I am this. And you soon find out that nobody cares. And you either evolve or you die, and you go back to a 9 to 5, you go back to a regular world, and that's where business is the ultimate proving ground. Much like it is in sports, business, it exposes you. You have no choice. Like, the only way to win in the game is to evolve yourself and become more valuable, so that you can actually provide value to people and to situations, so that people want to be friends with you, so that people want to be associated with you. And everybody, this is a reciprocal world. We're all trying to get something from the other person. The people that you like the most, the people that are easiest to have a conversation with, are never the people that are talking about themselves, right? The people that you sit there and you have to listen to their stories and their mumbo jumbo. You're like, enough with this guy. The best conversations are the people who are only trying to like ask you questions and like get you going. Those are the best. And sometimes you even know they're doing it. You're like, screw this guy. I was at the Tony Robbins event, the virtual event, and one of the things that he had, one of the like things he got everybody to do was to mirror each other, right? And like we would just go like into like a Zoom like this because it was virtual, and you just mirror the other person. And I knew they were doing it, but for some reason I was like, yeah, this person's mad funny. This is cool, and I started to like this person. So I think it's the natural progression. It's never going to change. People will never going to do it, and there will always be the small percentage of people who just kind of wired a little bit differently who will just do it.
To me, it's a lot like the podcast world. Remember when I gave you stat, or you might have given me the stat because you're the R&D department. One of us gave each other a stat that I heard was like 99.9% of podcasts fail after 3 episodes. They stop doing them. Not necessarily fail. I don't even know. I guess that's failing. But I mean, you didn't really do anything yet.
Yeah.
And shout out to us, like 160 episodes in now or something like that. But you get that first step, and I was pretty harsh there for a little bit. So I will. Let me not backtrack, but be a little softer here. You got to take that first step. Like, as long as you're trying, the thing that I have really taken a liking to recently has been the approach of volume and speed with Gary, like Gary says. Like, I have loved that. I have realized that I have done this already without really knowing, but in a little bit of a slower pace. But the way I've ever gotten anywhere is by continuously trying, and learning, and eventually getting the right stuff that works, right? So, like, when you first start up this, back in the day when I was trying to run that big clinic with that buddy of mine who had a baseball facility, right? I had relied on the fact, it's typical Pat, I had relied on the fact that this guy knew what he was doing. He knew he could, has done this before. He can run a clinic. He's got a network of kids that have already come to his facility all the time. And then how hard could it be to say, hey, listen, and a win for you, you can say, hey, listen, you guys that are already coming to my clinics or are already coming to my facilities all the time, I got a special treat for you. We got a former Red Sox player that's going to come, teach you guys for 3 days or whatever, and, be able to put something together for this thing. He did nothing, and within 2 years, he was the facility had shut down, and he was running a COVID cleaning company. And so I was saying they're like, okay, so even like you clearly probably don't know what the hell you're doing. Very nice guy. You probably didn't know what the hell you're doing. And then you're just looking for a lot of COVID cleaning companies made crazy money.
Yeah.
But you're just looking for the next hot thing, the quick buck. Right? I'm going to go in, I'm going to clean some desks, and I'll hop on the gold rush, as they said, right? And whenever I moved to Montana back in the whatever, I'm not even going to guess what time period because
40s.
Back in the 40s to go get gold.
The 49ers, that's how I always remember it. That's what that is.
Oh, wow. I was going to say, good thing I didn't say anything because I was going to say the 1800s. But so, I'm always been. And,
it actually could be, it probably is actually, now I think about it, it probably is the 1849.
Oh, well,
Dad was
1940.
Dad was not in the heart of the gold rush.
But, you have to, and I align myself. I've always been this way. I align myself with hopefully people that can make my life easier. I'm going to go do these things. I'm a charming, charismatic guy that has a good head on his shoulders and can learn and willing to put up the work. I was willing to put up the money the first part and earn my way to the portion where you could provide enough value to people where they put up a lot of the money for you. But you have to keep trying. Like how many times, this is why I go back to that podcast analogy, how many times you see people, let's say, start a clothing company, right? So you see a lot of apparel companies on Instagram. That's a whole thing. So you start the apparel company. Okay, start the apparel company. Go for it, right? Give it a go. And, then you try to get some buddies, post it for free. All right, the buddies it's not meaningful to them, so they'll probably post it for free.
Also, guys, don't ask your buddies to post.
Yeah, but they're not going to, regardless. Listen, you're starting. I don't care. You're starting. You're giving it a go, trying to get in front of some people. You're doing it, right? When that doesn't work, because it won't, when that doesn't work, keep trying. Keep doing more. Like I just said on the Jared Carrabis podcast the other day, how you could probably go back to the beginning of my TikToks, maybe some stuff on Instagram, even some stuff that I've now hidden from the public eye on YouTube. Even you can go back and certainly see some things that I cringe at. I'm like, oh my God, I did that? What the hell was I doing? But I wouldn't have gotten to where I am now without doing all that stuff and learning and being like, okay, that didn't work. Okay, that didn't work. And you learn, you adjust. The thing that I absolutely loved in baseball was the analogy of a heat-seeking missile. Heat-seeking missiles are not constantly going at the target. They are constantly failing and readjusting, until finally they hit their target. But they have failed 150 times before they finally hit the damn target. And it's like you got to just keep going. Speed. Do things. When things don't work, try it again. Try a different thing. All right, switch that one. YouTube Shorts. I've realized on YouTube Shorts, they want really fucking quick content. They've already had the long-form content. That's their whole fucking platform. They want quick stuff. They do not want your bullshit. They do not do the storytelling that you can do on TikTok right now. Do quick stuff. Quick. Retention is everything. But I've also learned retention is not always everything. Sometimes you put up bullshit and they're like, no, yeah, people watch 115% of this, but it's because it was a 0.3 second video. That doesn't count as content.
We've all tried that move.
Yeah, that doesn't count as content, Pat. So, but you learn. You're just constantly going until you finally hit, and you probably never will really hit like a heat-seeking missile. You might never really hit the target. You might always be getting slowly better until you die one day. But I really want to I want to hammer home yeah, you're gonna embarrass yourself in the beginning. It's gonna suck. People are gonna look at you on Instagram and be like, this fucking loser. But remember, those people aren't doing anything probably. So you just keep going. Don't give up after. You're gonna fail in the beginning. I can promise you, 100% without a doubt, you will fail. We all have done it. So, just, me and Sean, the amount of times me and Sean have had text messages being like, figured it out. We've done it. It is. We have got it. This is exactly how you get big on Instagram. Meanwhile, I am over here losing hundreds of followers on Instagram daily.
I've always thought that the reason that I've just kept going is because I've always thought I was closer to success than I really was. Like, I've always thought I was like one move away. And like, it just was like, oh, it wasn't this thing, but it must be this thing. So then I do that thing. And I'm like, oh, well, that was stupid, but this is the thing. Obviously, I now know I've grown wise or wiser to the process. But my thing is, when I hear you speak, I mean, you're saying all the right things, and you're right in 100% of it. And then, like, everybody knows that. You know what I mean? Like, everybody knows. Don't quit. You're gonna fail. Don't be afraid to fail. Take risks. Go all in. Take massive action. I love that one. Tony Robbins says it all the time. He's like, you gotta take massive action. And then I'm like, ah! like what does that even mean? And like, what I've really grown to try to uncover is, like, why don't you do it? Like, we know plenty of people, talented. We can think of one in particular, probably. I won't go in and give any more details. I don't want to give it away, but like, why don't you do it? Like, you know the deal. Why don't you do it? And that's where, for me, where we dive into the neuroscience of it and neurochemistry of it, because I really want to understand, like, what drives the human being and what, and like, what, like, I don't get it. Like I think, like, I look at you and like, your business is so much different than mine. Like, you talk about networking. I would have talked about networking completely differently. I would have talked about, not necessarily like raising money. I would have talked about, like, the Dream 100 stuff and, taking the steps up to the Joe Rogan podcast or the Lewis Howes podcast or Tom Bilyeu's podcast or something like that. And like how, like, you're siphoning off audiences. Like, we would have done it in that way. And, I just, like, for me, it's like, how do you do your business? And like, what, like I acted like, I'm not a networker. Like, how do I get to your level of networking skills? Like, it's much more of a force for me than it is for you. And all that is it's connections inside of the brain. It's neurons that have been myelinated over time and become increased in efficiency. It's an addiction to neurochemistry. And like, how can we curate it? How can we change you to become the person that you want to be, as opposed to like the Gary Vee model of just do it, man. Like, grind it out, hustle, like that. That's like that doesn't work. And what's actually interesting for the people out there, I do think this is one of the most valuable pieces of information that I've ever gotten. It comes from a book called The Organized Mind by Daniel J. Levitin. And what he says in the book is that mental toughness is, like, there's a chemical inside of the brain called oxygenated glucose. And that is the substance that gets used up when you say no to something. So, for example, if at the end of this podcast, like, I got work to do, Patrick walks into my room and says, hey, let's play Madden. And I'm like, no, because I got work to do. I got this list of stuff I got to do over here, right? I lose some oxygenated glucose, right? And every time I say no to something, a little bit less, a little bit less, a little bit less. So you literally will, at some juncture, run out of mental toughness. You will run out of no's, and you will not be able to do that anymore. Now, the premise of the book is to, like, set up your world so that you can keep it, so that you don't have to keep saying no to things. Like, you're not even, those proposals aren't even brought up to you, so you don't have to use up the oxygenated glucose. But like, all of those things are, like, really go into like, what makes an achiever, what makes a human, what makes your level of output. And it's really scientifically based. And this is kind of something that I wanted to mention here on the podcast, because me and Patrick are super fresh on this, we just came back from the gym, and we were in there, both of us, grinding, like, working hard inside of the gym. And, him and I both discussed how, like, we're not really there to get jacked. We're not really there to get, huge or, look shredded on the beach. I am in there quite literally with programs designed for the physical needs of an entrepreneurship of high levels of energy, long-sustaining energy, recovery, things like that. And I know Patrick does things a little bit differently, but I know he's been talked about like the daily discipline of working out, of getting it done. As it stands right now, I've closed my move rings 361 consecutive days, and like it's just so important. But what it really all is it's constructing internally somebody that doesn't have to fight it anymore, that you just become that person. What I'd like you to know is that there's science behind how to put those wires together, and now you want to do the work, you want to network, you want to do those things instead of having to fight it for the rest of your life.
It's very interesting. Let me now I don't want to switch gears, but I want to relate that oxygenated glucose, which is a phrase I never thought I'd say in my life, oxygenated glucose, to something that Colleen talks about with nutrition, and saying you don't give in, when you have these small cravings, just go ahead, have it. Don't do it, because in her eyes, in the nutritional world, and I'm curious to relate this to neurology, in the nutritional world, if you keep saying no and not doing it, eventually you're going to overdo it. And you're not going to be able to say no to it anymore. Maybe you ran out of oxygenated glucose, and next thing you know, that half a Hershey bar turned into a tub of Ben & Jerry's. So tell me a little about the neurology behind that.
Well, what it reminds me of is a key distinction that a lot of people make in something like that. So it would be the distinction of I haven't smoked in 6 weeks, right? Versus I'm not a smoker, right? What you're saying in the one is that like I'm using my mental toughness, I haven't done it in so long. Look how good I've been, but I am a smoker, right? And the other one, it's the decision's easier because it's just like I am not this person. And one of the things that we try to do, not in my world, and in a lot of people's words, the people who really understand like psychology here, is you have to shift the identity of the person. You have to shift the identity of like who they believe themselves to be. Like when you left baseball, is it fair to say, I mean, I never really recognized it, but on some level, you probably go through some sort of identity crisis. When I finished playing basketball, I certainly did, because my whole life I was Sean Light, the basketball player. Like I was going to the NBA, and you kind of lose that significance. You start realizing that like I go back to the arena where I played college basketball. All of a sudden, it's not the same vibe. You're not like on the inner circle anymore. Like you're not like you're the has been. It's like going to the college bar after you've already graduated. Like that's always a no-no, right? So you have to find a way to like shift your identity, because what people will do is they will do absolutely anything to maintain the identity of who they believe that they are. If they think that, they're a disciplined person, right? For me, like I will do things to ensure that I am withholding the identity of being a disciplined person. If somebody thinks they're a party guy, the fun guy, right? Like they will do anything if that's who they...
I'm your party captain.
Exactly, right? Like they'll do what is necessary to maintain that image. So instead of saying like, stop smoking, don't like become I'm not a smoker. Like change the identity of my identity is not a smoker. And when you change that, like everything becomes significantly easier going forward.
Interestingly enough, something that I relate that to my life, and I think a lot of our listeners, maybe not a lot of our listeners, but I know a few of them might be able to relate to. Cigars and scotch. Now, I consider myself a pretty good drinker. Let me just phrase it kind of the way you did. I am a drinker. I enjoy drinking. I have fun doing it. That's who I am. But cigars, another addictive product, and now I haven't really been smoking for all that long, but cigar is another addictive product. Like, I'm to me, like kind of like you said, I was like, I'm not a smoker. I've never been a smoker my entire life. Right. Like, I enjoy a good cigar because of the vibe it gives me. It's literally the only thing. And I've been continuously trying to find new cigars that are the lightest possible cigars possible, because I hate the taste in my mouth. Like it's not. It's like a weird. It's like a very strong taste. So like, but I'm only like I just want the vibe. Like I feel nothing. Like everyone, like I smoked 3 cigars one time in a day, which is probably a bad idea. But I smoked 3 cigars in a day one time. I felt nothing. Everyone's like, "Why aren't you throwing up?" And I was like, "I don't know. I don't feel anything from it. It's just literally just being like, I got a cigar in my mouth, the scotch. We're talking business, right? Like it's like the vibe around it. But like I never like I'm not sitting there like, oh well, it's been 2 weeks since I smoked a cigar. I have no idea when the last time I smoked a fucking cigar. Like it's not meaningful to me because I'm not a cigar smoker. I do it when the vibe is right and we're having fun. But like, yeah, no, listen, I am a drinker. I'm certainly doing that. And then sometimes when I'll do things, I'll be like, oh well, I haven't drank a lot in 2 weeks. Good for me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I haven't done this and the blah blah blah, and I'm losing that glucose, whatever the hell it is, and I gotta keep that glucose high. But it's interesting how the neurology around everything, which is why I loved how we've changed our podcast, is because I am more, and it's funny. I think we've mentioned on the pod that Sean has always been viewed in my world as the R&D department of everything, and then I am the guy that just does things willy nilly, in hopes of finding what I'm supposed to be doing, and then I'll do something, and like when I created a website once, and I couldn't figure out. I was like, how the hell you do this? And I'm just doing random things to try to find out how to do things. Kind of like you did in NBA 2K to try to find out how to double team. Just doing
Still haven't
random
figured it out.
Yeah, just doing random things. Well, I think you're doing one real thing wrong, listening to Brian. But doing random things to figure out how to do that. And Sean comes up behind me, and I tell him what the issue is. He starts giggling at me. He's snickering at me because he's like, let the R&D department. And he like tells me exactly how to do it. It takes me 2 seconds to do it. And sometimes I sit there, I'm like, why don't I just Google things sometimes? I feel like it'd be a lot easier. But it is interesting how, our dynamic of, both business people, both entrepreneurs, both take enormous risks and leaps, not only with our own money, but with, our personal lives and all of these different types of things. Like, Sean had to find the very exact right girl in order to be able to put up with his nonsense. And it's like a risk. It's a risk in all facets of your life to do the things that me and Sean do. But there are no such thing as risks when you're talking WynnBET.
Yes.
And WynnBET is bringing the excitement of Wynn Las Vegas to online sports betting. Whether you're a recreational player or a serious handicapper, WynnBET is your ticket to every exciting wager, from straight bets to parlays, teasers, and any exotic proposition wager you can dream up. Sign up today and use promo code XSWC1. And after placing your first $100 wager, you'll receive $100 to bet with. There is also a $50 casino bonus for those in New Jersey and Michigan as a first-time player. Again, the promo code is XSWC1. There's no better way to enjoy sports than with some extra winnings in your pocket to use for all your favorite bets. Betting is a team sport. Join the WynnBET team and bet with the best. Offers subject to change. Start users at WynnBET.com. Much to participate. Only available in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Louisiana, Michigan, New York, New Jersey, Tennessee, and Virginia. Interesting stuff, though. I love talking about... Oh, where the hell is your Zoom thing? I love talking about how, like, I'll do something and... then there's like whatever it is that I might do or for example, like we talked about, not do, and then finding the inner workings of the neurology behind it of why you won't do that and why you won't go into, like, I won't post something on Instagram because I'm like, well, everyone's going to see it. It's going to be a whole thing. People, like when I post an Instagram story, I only use Instagram now for stories. I post an Instagram story and it's getting seen on my good Instagram stories get seen by, let's say, 5,000 or 6,000 people. And it's like, well, if I post this, I can't post that picture you sent today. That will be a whole to do. That'll be a whole to do.
Oh man, that would be up. I was like, oh man, I'll post it, and then you can reshare it. Like, oh my god, somebody took this picture of me.
Oh my god, I can't believe this. Look at my shoulders and biceps. So you guys know, just so you're let in a little bit, me and Sean are very rarely in the gym together. Actually, we often have very different schedules, and we happen to be almost identical schedules today. And so we ended up in there at the same time, and I was doing a particular exercise, and I had a cutoff on, and my arms looked amazeballs. And Sean, and I swear, hand on the Bible, that's my left hand, hand on the right hand up, left hand on the Bible. I swear I had no idea the picture was being taken. I did not ask him to take a thirst trap for me. And I looked up, and Sean had just he literally just was putting his phone down, and he was walking over to me, and I was surprised to actually see him over by me. And then he was like, "You gotta look at this," and I looked jacked. So I have completely ruined one of our friends' days. Actually, Sean did because he took the picture. Completely, our buddy Brian considers himself have the biggest arms in the friend group. Not anymore. The crown's at risk. And talk about the neurology.
He's in legit panic mode.
We'll talk about the neurology of what Brian's going through right now. I don't know if you saw the group chat. We were texting a little bit during this pod, and I was trying to get him to come over here. And he was like, after that picture, I am running to the gym. And I told him, I was like, you're already doing it wrong, Brian. You can't even start correctly.
He just can't help himself. He can't help himself.
Can't help himself. The other thing I wanted to quickly talk about today, Sean, is the evolution of social. I know we talk social all the time here. But the evolution of me and you trying on social media and how, I mean, a couple years ago we were talking about how Instagram could never be overtaken and never, like, it was the king of kings. And to me, and I think you would agree with me right now, it's bottom of the barrel.
Well, I think it really depends on what you're looking at. Like, I actually been posting a ton on Instagram lately. Because I put these trackable links on because mine's all business, right? Like I'm trying to steer people into my funnels in my world. And while TikTok has incredible viral growth opportunities, it is by far, at least in my world, at least in my profile, it is by far the least clickable. Like people are not coming to my profile and they're not clicking on the link and they're not moving through. So I've been spending more time on the places where I'm actually acquiring leads, which have been Instagram. Facebook's okay. Instagram and Medium.com, which is a blogging social media. So if you're just trying to get popular and grow, but even then, man, I got 27,000 followers on TikTok. What is that? What the hell is that? At what point do brands start being okay, I'm gonna reach out to this guy and get him to advertise for me? I am very interested in YouTube Shorts into YouTube Longs, which moves people through a little bit more. I couldn't give two shits about social media if business was not involved. The social media is an interesting game.
It is. And I will say I would give a half shit of social media if business was not involved. The main dynamic for me is I believe, and I've said this I think every podcast for the last 12 podcasts, that I believe in the Alex Hormozi approach that getting famous just makes you more money. It's just the way the world works. So
definitely.
I would say that's the 1.5 shits, maybe even 1.75 shits.
Yeah, but even that's still business oriented. If you're,
that's what I'm saying. That's the main reason I'm there. And then the other half is well, it'd be cool to be famous. So I'd still like to do it. TikTok, me and you run very different businesses in what we're trying. I'm not trying to get really any leads from my stuff. I'd like to push people through to this podcast. I think that's pretty much the only thing I have is this podcast. And I would say on our good posts that we have, I think the most I've seen is maybe 145 click-throughs into our podcast. I would say the listeners, though, I would say maybe we're getting, it's hard, they're probably spread out through because goes right to our homepage, right? Mm-hmm. Doesn't go to our to the last TikTok, so I can't see exactly which TikTok they're or which podcast they're listening to. But I've seen a number of little spikes, but nothing crazy. But YouTube Shorts, and I mean, and this is what we're talking about. I just read recently, as I read this morning, how they're going to do YouTube Shorts as far as the rev split. And what they're doing is for Shorts, they're like, well, yeah, you're short. We can't put in a mid-roll clip ad and at the end of the, or a 3/4 of the way, ad roll, right? They can't do that, so they can't. What they're doing, though, and this is why YouTube's taking more of it, is it doesn't matter they're just putting in ads for all of the shorts. And like you scroll through 5 shorts, an ad pops up, just like TikTok. There was shorts, ad pops up. And then based off, you have to be qualified, so you have to get 10 million views in the last 90 days and 1,000 subscribers. And based off how many views in that, let's say they pay bi-monthly. I don't know. Do you know how much when they pay, Sean?
No.
Okay, so let's say they pay monthly. Based off how many views you are, how big your account is essentially, is how much percentage of that rev split you get. So they're getting, let's say they get a pool of $25 million every month. Let's say that's the 45%. 45%, $25 million every month of ad revenue. That's 45%. Let's say you get 1% of it.
How much is Mr. Beast going to be pulling in?
Oh, I mean, Mr. Beast that's a different, whole other world. But you're talking, and $25 million, I would imagine, based off of what I know about YouTube, would be a really, really low month for them in ad revenue.
Yeah.
So you know, you're talking about a real, and this is why I keep telling Sean with why I'm so invested in it. You know, we're talking about a real, actual way to make real money. Like not TikTok where you get 0.4 cents every 1,000 views. You know, you can make some real fucking money here. Similar to why there are so many people staying on YouTube, like Mr. Beast and things like that. Mm-hmm. Because you got a real chance to make some actual money here. It's going to take you a little bit. Like right now, in my last 90 days, which is pretty much my entire YouTube lifespan, my last 90 days, I have like 111,000 views. I got it. It's not bad, but about 60% of that is all one post. But I need to learn the game, and that's why I'm doing so much speed right now. I put up a tweet today that I have posted more times on YouTube Shorts. This was at 9:30 this morning. I have posted more times on YouTube Shorts this morning than I have on Instagram in the last month and a half. Or I think I said 2 months, but that might be a reach. That's why for me, like right now, Instagram is fucking. Unless I keep wanting to lose followers. That has just been such a bottom of the barrel thing. But again, difference between you and I'm looking for growth, looking for followers, looking for these ways. Then taking, which I am in love with, the YouTube Creator Studio. Holy shit! You're talking about I got the power of Google at my hands, and now when I go pitch myself, like tonight, I'm going to pitch myself to a. Would you consider? Oh, yeah, it is. It's definitely a Fortune 500 company. I'm going to go pitch myself to because their parent company is. I'm going to go pitch myself tonight to the chief marketing officer. I'm going to dinner. The chief marketing officer of a Fortune 500 company, and I have not only the power of what they're looking, because it's a publicly traded company. I know everything I know what they're going after, but I also this YouTube Creator Studio has been able to give me real data, like age demographics, where what cities. I got, for whatever reason, I can't walk around in Australia. Two of my top 7 cities are Melbourne and Sydney, and
weren't you popular in some real weird Afghan city or something like that?
Yeah, it's I actually have it up here because I haven't taken it down yet. But let's see, which one is it? It is, I don't know where it is. It's Bengaluru. I don't know where that is. Bengaluru.
Lovely this time of year.
Yeah, Bengaluru. But no clue. But yeah, I got Melbourne in there. Sydney is a top 3 city for me.
Wow.
Yeah. It's real. And this is when I told you, Sean, this again, back to the R&D department that Sean is. I told Sean, I was like, you got to get on this shit. He's like, yeah, asshole. It's owned by Google. These are what Google's analytics are. This is real analytics, not, TikTok that tells me that 99% of my audience is in the United States. I was like, oh, thanks. I bet you no one's targeting the United States.
I know, it's so stupid.
It's such a stupid analytic. So, that's why I'm so excited about YouTube, because it really actually feels like I'm running an actual business. I can actually figure, I'm trying to figure things out there.
Yeah.
But social has always felt kind of like a video game to me, and just trying to keep growing and somehow just keep posting, figuring stuff out, and trying to level up to a point where we can actually make some actual, and I have made some money off it, but it would make an actual little living off it that might help. I mean, you see so many of these fucking TikTokers. They're making, Charlie D'Amelio brought in like $20 million last year. $20 million.
Yeah, they got a whole machine going over there.
That's a whole nother machine. But if you can grow, especially like me and you talked about with YouTube Shorts, there's hardly any content right now out there. Like it is tough. And they said a statistic I read this morning is 75% of YouTube users are watching Shorts. That's a pretty good number. Now YouTube's got.
You just gotta have. Here's what I think about social media. Is you still have to build like that cash asset, right? Like there's like you have to take like what you're collecting all these eyeballs, but what are you gonna do with them? And that's where like Charlie D'Amelio, I see her doing all sorts of crazy stuff. They got the Hulu show. She's doing some like fitness stuff, and it's like what I'm doing is like building that cash asset to be able to take advantage of those eyeballs. And it's like if somebody's going to go out there and try to grow on one of these platforms, where are you going to insert the eyeballs to actually make it worth something to you? Which is why I'm not on YouTube Shorts really right now, is because I'm not there yet in terms of like the building of that cash asset. And that's like for me is like where social media is great. Like just like a lot of people are just like getting followers, like especially in like there was a article came out in like Business Insider like a year ago. There was a influencer who had like 3.2 million followers. She started a clothing line and she had to sell 32 or 36 T-shirts for the manufacturer to pick her up, and she couldn't even do it. It's because like she had all these eyeballs, but not a real like cash machine to stick people in and convert it into money. And I think that's where like when you get like huge and you blow up, like Charlie's going to go into the Hulu cash machine, right? And that's what that's what the D'Amelios are doing, and she'll find other cash machines that are in there. But like for what I'm doing is like let me build out a cash machine so that these eyeballs, they come in, they just keep flowing through this thing and just like produces cash flow like a bar or a restaurant group or anything like that, right?
Well, I think it's interesting in the way and that's why I've switched content to kind of what you were doing on TikTok, was because I still have those stitches in there that I say I give my little tidbit to it, but like you're not going to convert unless you're actually influential, and the only way you're going to be influential is if you're providing your own content. People got to be wanting to watch you. And coming to see what you do, and that's when you become influential, and that's when you can actually sell a product, as long as your product's good. But as long as you can do that stuff, I think often a lot of times people get these huge eyeballs, and then they just go hire an agent or a business manager that runs a business for them because they already have that
cash asset.
Exactly. So, and I think that's what it is. I believe that I'm fairly good at business, and I'm also a little bit differing into what you had said, is that right now, I'm just going to keep going, and I'll figure it out. I'll just figure it out as I go. I'm going to keep getting these followers, keep pushing, keep growing, and I'll figure the rest out as I go. And I've been okay at it. I had a good deal with the Long Drink back in the day that made some good money for me. Like I said, I'm going to a deal tonight and hopefully land something there. So it's. I'm just going to try to keep growing the eyeballs. So the eyeballs is what gets you to the table. And then if you can get those eyeballs, for what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to get ad revenue from companies. When you get those eyeballs, like when they go into this meeting tonight, now 55,000 followers on TikTok is not that crazy to have. A lot of people have that many followers on TikTok. TikTok's very viral type platform. But if I told them I had one, they'd be like, oh wow, okay. Who the fuck are you? Do people even care about you? Maybe they don't. So, a little bit of different approaches. Fairly similar, though. Not fairly similar. The exact, pretty much same end goal.
Oh, you're taking those eyeballs, and it's the same thing. You're taking the eyeballs, 55,000, and you're going to plug it into, hopefully, these people's cash machine. You're like saying, like, look at all my eyeballs. What if I dumped them into your machine over here? What would that do?
Do anything for you?
Yeah.
Oh, man. All right. Well, listen, guys. if you have any extra eyeballs, you should be watching the World Series. Starts Friday. And you know where you can bet on the World Series? You betcha. WynnBET. WynnBET is bringing the excitement of Wynn Las Vegas online sports betting and casino play. Get in all your favorite teams, players, and sports, from boosted parlays to live in-game odds in every major sport. They have what you need to win. Sign up today and use promo code XSWC1. And after placing your first $100 wager, you'll receive $100 to bet with. There's also a $50 casino bonus for those in New Jersey and Michigan as a first-time player. Again, the promo code is XSWC1. Offer subject to James Certifications at WynnBET.com. As you turn to participate, only available in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Louisiana, Michigan, New York, New Jersey, Tennessee, and Virginia. You know what? Before I end the podcast, what I'm a little disappointed in, a lot of people, that's where they speed up podcasts, which I understand. You speed up through the advertisement to get to the advertisement to get to the next part. The people that are speeding up are never going to see how good I am at speeding that up for them.
Or maybe they think they accidentally pressed the button.
Or that.
They're like, did you guys know that Apple is now automatically speeding up their advertisements?
Oh, man. All right. Anywho, guys, have a great weekend. Enjoy whatever you're going to do. Quickly, Sean, just to end the podcast, Yankees, not Yankees. Sorry, guys. Astros and Astros. Phillies. Who you Astros and how many?
5.
Astros and 5. I'm going to say Phillies and 7. Let's have some fun. Let's go.
That would be electric.
It would be electric. I think the Astros are going to win. But that would be electric. But let's have some fun on the podcast. Phillies and 7 would be – I actually really hope they win at home. Like that Bryce Harper home run was outrageous.
Yeah. So that would have to be like Phillies in 6 or in like 5 or something like that.
And they'd have to, because if it's the same format, it's the first 2 games are in Houston, then 3, and then 2 in Houston.
They ain't winning in 5.
I gotta win 1, and then they got sweet Philly. Anyway, guys, enjoy the weekend, enjoy the World Series, and until next time, we will see you guys later.
Sorry, we're closed.